Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. A good Tuesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day so far and rounding off your day well and having a great week. We're going to talk about the heat in this evening's video that potentially is to come. Places like Texas and the South Central U.S. has already experienced a lot of heat this year and will continue to do so probably throughout the next few days. But chances are that it might intensify here in the coming days and then eventually a big time ridge of high pressure. Sometimes we call it a heat dome, a death ridge, the armpit of hell, whatever you want to call it, is going to eventually shift east and affect areas of the southeast. I'm talking about you, Carolinas, Georgia, maybe Virginia, areas of the mid-south, portions of the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, and the deep south especially. Could see some rather intense heat next week. I'm talking about over 100 degrees as possible, mixed in with the humidity that is just there this time of the year. It could be quite uncomfortable and potentially dangerous and potentially record breaking. So that's what we're going to discuss in this evening's video and break down. Also, and briefly talk on the fact that we could have worsening drought conditions for certain areas. It's already pretty bad for certain areas, but it could definitely get worse in areas of the southeast. So we're going to break that down for you guys. If you guys have not subscribed, consider doing that. Please consider doing that. Growth is basically at a standstill. And, it's funny the way YouTube works. I think it just kind of maybe gets rid of the spam subscribers sometimes. So I'll get like 3 in one day and then turn around, wake up, and I'll lose those 3. But growth is just slow right now, and that's cool. It's been nice. It's been a breath of fresh air, but then part of me is ready for things to pick back up again, So definitely hit the subscribe button, like the video if you like it. It's much appreciated. Hit me up on Facebook. That is a big goal right now. And you guys have responded. I picked up quite a few likes on my Facebook. If you guys got a Facebook, hit me up, send me a friend request. Even that's fine. This isn't my personal Facebook. This is my weather Facebook. But give it a like. It's a great way to stay up to date with the latest and greatest information much quicker. Hit me up on Twitter, too. I know not as many people use Twitter. If you don't have social media, that's cool, too. So if you guys got anything I can pray about, please put in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives a lot of others an opportunity to do so, too. So please keep doing that. Please, please, please keep doing that. So let's get rolling. So we'll start off with the basics, and stick with me. We're going to show everything here. This is the National Weather Service, the Climate Prediction Center. There's many segments of the National Weather Service that really are over different parts of different things weather-wise. So this is the Climate Prediction Center. So it's saying in the next 6 to 10 days in this threshold of days here, this is June 13th through the 17th, well above average temperatures are predicted in the south central U.S. This is basically, an 80 to 90% chance of above average temperatures occurring in this location. This is a 70-80% chance, and basically anybody in the red that you see has an above average chance to see warmer than average temperatures. You go to 8 to 14 days out, this is starting to get later into June, that 15th to 21st range, and it's still showing 70 to 80% chance of above average temperatures occurring in this region. There is still some differences on where this ridge of high pressure is going to shift. But basically, the models are the most confident, and people are most confident in general that this ridge is definitely going to be right here in the middle of the country regardless. But the southeast, this is looking more and more likely that a big-time heat wave is going to come next week for the southeast. And, we're going to start to see maybe, if you even look at your weather apps right now, I know here in Columbia, South Carolina, you can already look at the Weather Channel app, and you can see they're already predicting highs certain days next week above 100 degrees. So, that might be legitimate. That might have some legs to it. It's a lot different than when it shows a snowstorm 8 to 10 days out. Sometimes there's some real legs to this kind of forecasting. So, heat is coming. It really is. So, let's start off with what everybody really probably wants to see and how hot it could potentially get. We're going to just focus on the European model, the operational run. Then we're going to tell you and talk about what is driving this and talk about how it's important that we get as much rain as possible between now and when this ridge really takes a hold of the south and areas of the eastern U.S. So let's start this in the southeast, and then we'll go to the south central U.S. So we'll start off by this coming Monday. So this is 6 days away. So granted, this could really change. Now, I know you're thinking 90s isn't that bad. This is potential high temperatures for next Monday. 90s, upper 90s for Georgia. But when you throw the humidity with this, dew points in the 60s, pushing near the lower 70s, this is going to be some nasty heat. Only 80s in the Ohio Valley. So you're looking at this and you're saying, well, Mitch, this isn't that bad at all. But I'm telling you, it gets worse. So we get into about a week out. Now, granted, this is pretty far out. Now, look at this. In the Midlands of South Carolina, starting to sneak into the coastal plains of North Carolina, areas around Augusta, even the entire Deep South in general. Look at these upper 90s, all the way up into the Ohio Valley, Missouri, St. Louis, upper 90s. Now, that doesn't mean this is going to happen. This is 7 days out, but there's some high model agreement that this is possibly going to happen. It really is. But you're starting to see some 100-degree readings in areas of Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, and then upper 90s everywhere else, and just 90s in general everywhere else. Now, we keep this moving. We get into Wednesday. I mean, look at this. Now you're starting to see low 100s in Georgia, South Carolina, and this intense heat's making it all the way up to Chicago. You can't see it that well probably, but 95 degrees showing up maybe next Wednesday. Maybe, low to mid 90s. It might verify higher. It might verify lower. Now, I will tell you, a lot of times this ends up verifying a tick lower. But every once in a while, it verifies the same of what it's showing or higher. So this ridge is really starting to establish itself at this point over this part of the country. So the heat gets intense. Now, when you have these heat domes right on top of you, especially if you're centered right under high pressure, you basically get stagnant winds, meaning you hardly get no wind flow. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get 0 mile per hour wind speeds, but you probably get maybe a 2 to 5 mile per hour winds, if that, and it comes in gusts of 2 to 5 miles per hour. Basically, you have sinking air under this high pressure, and the air just feels stagnant, and it just feels like you're begging for a fan, but you're not getting it. Now, the further you get away from the influence of the high pressure, the more the winds pick up and the more you have a higher chance to see storms. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We'll talk about more of that here in a second. But next Wednesday, for example, now notice we're 198 hours out. We're 8 days out, pretty far out. But in general, it likes the idea of nasty heat. Now, there might be some storms that saved a day here in these areas of the Mid-Atlantic and things like that. But look at the heat. Next Thursday, this is 9 days out, pretty far out. Not very reliable territory, but in general, some nasty heat is possible. Now, I know you're thinking we can handle a low 100s, but keep in mind that this could fluctuate worse or better. But, I mean, you really start to see these, mid to upper 90s all the way into the Ohio Valley. This is a lot more rare than it is, obviously, in the Deep South. But some nasty heat is certainly looking likely. When we get into about 10 days out, and it stops. Euro only goes 240 hours out. But you turn around and you look at the south central U.S. Now, granted, the further west you go in the south central U.S., the more significant the drought is. It's what we call an exceptional drought. That's past severe drought. We'll talk about that here in a second. But this is starting now. I mean, this is for Thursday. Temperatures in the low 100s across the heart of Texas, getting close to 100 in Dallas-Fort Worth, but not quite. But then, we're starting to get into Friday. The heat is looking really bad from the Euro. Hopefully it's not this hot, but you're starting to see over 105 degrees in areas of Texas. And even some 100-degree readings. Watch out, Louisiana. Areas of southwest Arkansas. There's going to be a tight boundary up here where basically you're going to have basically a jet up here. Several thousand feet up in the atmosphere, and then a heat dome is going to be getting entrenched into this region, what we call ridging of high pressure. It's going to be really getting kind of entrenched in this region. It's going to be very, very hot. Then you're getting into Saturday, and then, look at this. You're getting readings almost of 110 degrees Saturday across areas of Texas. And then how much this is begin to fluctuate more east as you get into Sunday. But I hope this does not verify for Texas, because this looks brutal. Almost everywhere in Texas showing the Euro is over 100 degrees for your Sunday. I mean, this is brutal heat. It's like it's just zoned in on Texas. You're seeing some 100-degree readings also in Oklahoma, up into Kansas. Even look into eastern Colorado, well over 100 degrees in certain areas. Let's hope this does not verify and this is just a little overdone, which it probably is. But in general, this heat dome will just sit over this area. The axis of it will be the worst in this area right in here, but it will begin to broaden and stretch and build over the more of eastern U.S. later next week. But, you start to get into next Tuesday. The heat lessens somewhat as the center and the axis of ridging of high pressure moves a little bit further east, but it is still hotter than Hades across the south central U.S. So let's talk about a couple things. So what you're seeing here, it looks like just a painting, right? Basically, the warmer colors you see, that is more ridging. Basically, the cooler colors you see, that is more troughing. So actually, this weekend, you're going to have a little bit of a break from any kind of heat across the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, even all the way down to the Southeast. You might have a nice cool, now I wouldn't call it crisp, but some coolish mornings this weekend across the Southeast. So I would take advantage of it. And here's the heat dome right here. You see the dark red popping up. This is a big-time ridge of high pressure building over the south central U.S. and the Southwest in general. As we get into next week, this begins to fluctuate and move more so over areas of the eastern U.S. and the central U.S. And in general, well, we've had kind of a northwest flow, more of a zonal northwest flow of energy will get replaced by just ridging of high pressure as we get into Monday, and this will situate itself and build northward all the way into the Great Lakes region as we get into about early to midway next week. And see all this red over the southeast. You never want to see that in the summer because that normally means brutal heat, and depending on where you're positioned around the high pressure, it normally means absolutely no rain. So this is going to be some pretty hot air as basically the flow around this, and this is basically probably where your storms are going to be way up here as basically ridging builds, so the jet shifts way up further north, so you're not going to get the storms that you want to cool you off in this kind of pattern. You can see this here. This is what we call 250 millibar wind stream. So this is this is like 30 plus thousand feet up in the air. And this basically tells us where the jet stream is sitting, basically where the storms flow. This is basically where the storms are going to flow in throughout the atmosphere, basically where you're going to have the rain, where the low pressures are going to ride. So you see this kind of this northwest flow into the weekend, right? This is hopefully where we get some nice rain across the eastern U.S., but eventually you see this little spin right here. Here comes the ridging of high pressure building, and you see these wind streams right here buckling like this. That is high pressure building. So therefore, you just get sinking air over the south and areas of the Ohio Valley. But I will tell you, the Ohio Valley will have a higher chance of rain as you're a little bit north of the direct influence of high pressure. So storms, showers and storms are going to be riding to the north, and you're going to be begging for it across the deep south. So let's talk about the south right here, the southeast. So what you see here, and I will tell you, this was released Thursday, so it needs to be updated. It'll probably get updated here in about a day or two, if not sooner. So if you're wondering in the southeast that you're pretty dry, you're correct. Now, this might increase for areas a little further west, and it might decrease for areas of further east who have seen a little bit more rain. But this area right here in this brownish yellowish color or orangish yellowish color, this is a moderate drought. Now, when you get into the darker, orange right here, as you can read, severe drought. So down here in Savannah, for example, a severe drought. North of Wilmington, under a severe drought. Basically, the Western Carolinas are under drought conditions. There's no extreme drought right now. But I have a feeling if we do not get some rain over the next 1 to 3, 4 days from the pattern we have in place right now, we're going to get under the influence of this high pressure, and the drought conditions are going to worsen across the southeast. Now, we do already know the deal out here to the south central U.S. You guys, your drought conditions is basically very, very significant. You're under an exceptional drought. That's higher than extreme drought, which is this area in the D4 range, the drought 4 range. So, but you even see an extreme drought is affecting areas of the bayou of Louisiana. Areas of southern Louisiana need the rain. So it's going to get hot. When it gets hot and you're not getting rain, it dries out very quickly. And the drought gets worse very fast. Now, this is rain expected between... Here, let's back it up here. So this is the European ensembles. This is rain between now and, overnight Sunday into Monday. So you're going to hope, and I know some people have seen a lot of rain, especially in Arkansas, but really here in the southeast, you're going to hope every bit of this ½ inch to 1 inch rain showing in areas of the Carolinas verify. You really want this to verify. You're really going to pull for these storms to not jump over your house. That's what kind of happened to me. On Friday, we had a nice area of storms that came down from the upstate here locally in South Carolina, completely jumped my house and didn't get hardly any rain, didn't get any measurable rain. So my grass is already feeling the effects of no rain from that day. And you really need, when you start to get into the heart of summer here in the southeast and the south in general, you really, really need at least one day of a nice downpour. For vegetation, grass, trees, things like that. If things begin to brown up, especially obviously if you got a farm, you got a garden, and things like that. So anyways, you're going to hope that it's verified. After Monday, you notice these numbers don't really increase anywhere unless you're up here where ridging of high pressure is going to be probably right into here. The flow is going to be around high pressure. So in general, you're going to hope that you can get some rain between now and the next couple of days in this region. Dew points, the dry air, you're going to have a punch of dry air probably for the southeast. It's probably going to be a nice little gift before Mother Nature says, hey, I'm about to make you suffer, and it's about to get hotter than Hades here. So you see these dry air, these dew points in the 50s. This will be comfortable air for areas of the southeast throughout the weekend, but the humidity builds. Dew points start to increase into the 60s and 70s. And let's hope this does not verify for the Mississippi Valley for the south central U.S. because dew points in the 70s and temperatures in the 80s and 90s is absolutely horrible. So nasty humidity is starting to show up for this area of the country right here. Mixed with these high temperatures showing up, let's hope these humidity levels, these dew points readings do not verify, because dew points into the upper 70s mixed with temperatures in the 90s, holy cow, you're going to have definitely some heat warnings out there for sure, and definitely some definitely concerns with anybody being outside or anything like that. So that's all I got, guys. Well, I'll give you an update on this probably as we get into the weekend, but please keep this in mind that the heat is coming, unfortunately. God bless all y'all.